Good morning. What? I'm starting class, babe. Good morning, guys. Come here. Good morning. No, I gotta start class.
Oh. Edo.
She's a rascal. What she is. There's something like in here, babe. Hold on, guys. I think you broke. Look at in there. You broke a piece of lead in there, and now it won't sharpen.
Nah.
Hold on. I gotta. I can't do this right now, baby.
Oh.
No, I can't do this right now.
No.
It's got a piece of lead in there that broke, and so now look, it won't go all the way in. So give me a little bit. I'll fix this. I got to do class right now. Okay, leave this here. I'll bring it in. Go inside.
It's fine. It's good.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Go on. The joys of teaching or just doing school from home in general. Okay. Kind of thrown off right now. All right. So a couple of announcements, couple of updates as we wait for the stragglers to continue to straggle their way through life. Week 8. Good morning, everyone. Week 8, if I'm not mistaken, we are halfway through the semester. If not, we're almost halfway through the semester. So a couple of things. First and foremost, and I'm just saying this in general. I'm not necessarily addressing this class. I'm just bringing this up in general. I've got some catch up to do with some grading. I was out of town this weekend. So I've got some grading to catch up on. This is pretty much the point in the semester where I start to like get rid of some people. And those are typically the people that just have put themselves in a no-win situation. In other words, even if you got 100% from here on out, you're not going to have a passing grade. Some of you might be in that situation. You might realize that. Don't email me and ask me. I'm just telling you this for a couple of reasons. Number one, to mind your P's and Q's, to stay on top of things. Number two, there may be some other classes where you have a semester-long project or a term paper or a midterm coming up. And fair warning, guys, the semester moves pretty quick once you start getting into it. When we get back from Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is what, in like 5 weeks? When we get back from Thanksgiving, we're pretty much done. I mean, I'm almost positive the week after Thanksgiving is the last week of instruction. If not, it's shortly thereafter. So the end of the semester is coming really quickly. So stay on top of your stuff. Second announcement. Just a reminder, when you email me or message me, make sure you tell me what class you're in. So obviously for you guys, Mr. Griego, this is so-and-so from your 9:30 class. That's all you need to tell me. The other thing you need to make sure you give me is your full name, okay? Because a lot of you have hyphenated names, and when you have a hyphenated name, especially if it's long, these rosters that I have that I get off my Hancock that show me all of the people in the class, some of them are hyphenated and some of them are not, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you have a hyphenated, you don't have a hyphenated name. So what I mean by that is the name that you use in registration is the name that's going to pop up here, right? So, and I don't know off the top of my head who has a hyphenated name in this class. Let's say you do, or let's say you don't, whatever. The point being is they cut names off to fit them onto this roster. So just make sure that you're giving me your full name and the class that you're in, because a lot of you, let's say your name is Ruiz Gonzalez or something like that. There's a lot of Ruizes and there's a lot of Gonzalez's. So depending on what name you use, I need to be able to correlate that to a class, but also to a person, because there's a lot of names that are fairly common. So, we know this. Just it makes it easier for me because there are a lot of names that are similar, and there are a lot of people who don't use the name in everyday conversation like here or on Google or YouTube or whatever, but you have the hyphenated name in school in your registration, and therefore that's what I'm seeing on my roster. So just to clarify, and I got a little confused talking to a couple of people last week, and I had to go back and tell them, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Again, so when you're emailing me, make sure you tell me what class you're in and make sure you give me your full name, okay? With that said, let's go right into it, right? Let's get right into it. Today's the last day of this unit. This week is the last week of this unit, sexual health. Couple of points to remember. Again, the numbers. The numbers are the biggest thing. Number of sexual partners you had. Are you protecting yourself? Have you been tested? What's your age group? What's your cohort? How do our diseases transmitted? Skin to skin within 3 inches of the infected area, fluid transmission, fluid to mucous membrane, eyes, mouth, so on and so forth, or obviously fluid to fluid, fluid to broken skin, blood to blood, semen to blood, breast milk, those fluids that transmit STDs. Okay, so today, excuse me, got a little runny nose. I promise you I don't have COVID. Today, we're going to talk, I got to look at these notes real quick. We're going to talk about 3 skin-to-skin fluid transmitted STDs. They're not the only fluid transmitted STDs, but they are probably the 3 most prevalent STDs out there. And the reason why I bring them up, because there is a small uptick in these STDs. And as a matter of fact, there's a small uptick across the board with STDs in America. And I think I addressed that last week. Kind of a lapse in kind of being careful, a little bit more liberal in sexuality. Sexual partners are probably to blame. However, when you have communicable diseases and infections, they have a tendency to fluctuate. So I'm not like ringing the alarm on this, but there are things that we definitely need to be aware of. Okay. So with that said, the first one, and I'm going to type them in here so you know how to spell them. Gonorrhea. Okay. Again, we'll kind of go through what is it, who has it, how do you get it, how do you know, what's the test for it, what's the worst case scenario. So what is it? Gonorrhea, it's a bacteria. How do you get it? Again, fluid transmission. What is it, or how do you know you have it? You'll know you have gonorrhea primarily when you feel a burning sensation when you urinate. And that's because the primary area of infection for gonorrhea is the urethra. Basically, it's a nasty urinary tract infection. However, it doesn't just infect the urinary tract. If it goes untreated, it can render females infertile, and in some cases, it can render males infertile. In addition to a burning sensation when you urinate, it's very common for women to feel pain during regular vaginal intercourse. Men can have a swelling of the testicles. But probably the most common symptom outside of the burning sensation when you urinate is what we call discharge. In other words, an oozing or a pussing coming from the vagina or the head of the penis. Typically, when you have a discharge, a pussy off-color discharge, like a yellowish or greenish discharge, that is a good indication of an infection, right? So even if it's not coming out of your penis or vagina, if any part of your body has a pussing or an oozing, that needs to be addressed, okay? The test for it is a swab. It's a bacterial swab. The antibiotics for it are fairly common. Antibiotic treatment, in other words, there is a cure. However, in the last 10 years, there is a super gonorrhea going around, and that gonorrhea is requiring a second, more potent round of antibiotics. So the bacteria has found a way to kind of go around or subvert our current antibiotic treatment. In some cases, not all cases. And this strand of gonorrhea is pretty nasty. It seems to be pretty nasty. So how many people get gonorrhea a year? Roughly about 1 million. And again, those numbers are going up. The worst case scenario is two-part. Number one, if you have an active gonorrhea infection during the birthing process, that bacteria can get into the child's eyes, and it, in rare cases, can cause blindness. I mean, if you've ever seen a baby being birthed or being born, one of the first things they do is they wipe it down and they drop a couple antibiotic drops into their eyes. And that's just because of the bacteria that they're exposed to in the vaginal canal. You can transmit that to your child, and you can infect their eyes, which can affect their sight. The other bad thing that can happen, ladies, if the gonorrhea goes untreated, again, you have your ovaries, you have your fallopian tubes, then you have your uterus. The fallopian tubes can become scarred because the little hairs inside the fallopian tubes can become inflamed. That inflammation over time causes scarring, causes those to get a little bit rigid. And essentially the fallopian tubes lose their functionality, therefore rendering you infertile. That is called pelvic inflammatory disease. So it's kind of like a graduated version of having gonorrhea for a long period of time and not having it treated. So again, regular STD testing is important, okay? Very important, all right? There's gonorrhea. The next one, chlamydia. Chlamydia is gonorrhea's nasty little cousin, okay? Why? It's pretty much the same thing as gonorrhea. Primarily a urethra infection. However, it can infect the mouth, the anus, the eyes. It is a fluid transmitted bacterial infection. It can be treated with antibiotics. It does cause a burning sensation when you urinate, discharge from the penis or the vagina, pelvic inflammatory disease, discomfort or bleeding during regular vaginal intercourse. However, the two differences are, the symptoms are much quieter. In other words, the discharge is significantly less. The pain is significantly less. There may or may not be a burning sensation when you urinate. And therefore, there seems to be more people who have chlamydia who don't know they have chlamydia. The second difference is 1 in 10 sexually active women in America will get chlamydia at some point in their life, right? That's a significant statistical difference, right? 1 million cases a year is significantly different than 10% of the population, female population, contracting chlamydia. Okay, so very close to gonorrhea. Symptoms are pretty much the same as gonorrhea, tested the same as gonorrhea is tested. Pretty much everything is the same as gonorrhea, with the exception of the symptoms are much lighter and the numbers are much larger. So much larger that chlamydia is often referred to as the silent epidemic, right? Pretty active STD in most communities, okay? We're moving through this quickly. This is beautiful. The last one of the day, believe it or not, this is going to be a quick lecture, is HIV AIDS. HIV stands for human immunodeficiency. Did I spell that right? I can't type today. I can't type. Human, excuse me, human immunodeficiency virus. AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So you can have HIV and not have AIDS, but if you have AIDS, you have HIV. HIV has changed significantly, and part of your assignment today is going to be researching that change. So what is HIV? HIV is a virus that infects basically your immune system. It stops your body from being able to create white blood cells, which fight infection. White blood cells essentially are your immune system. So what happens is your immune system begins to break down. So your skin is unable to fight off infection. You'll often get sores or what they call lesions. Your skin will actually start to tear and open up, exposing you to even more infections. Most people who have died of AIDS in the past have died of the common cold, of pneumonia, many other common ailments that are highly treatable. Roughly 1 million cases of HIV in America, but for the most part has become highly treatable. In America, HIV is not a big issue for a lot of people who are just having heterosexual sex, provided that you're not using intravenous drugs. If you're using intravenous drugs, in other words, if you're shooting up heroin or whatever other drugs you can shoot up, your risk of contracting HIV goes up significantly because you're most often sharing needles. Even with all the needle exchange programs, you still have higher rates of HIV with people who are using intravenous drugs. We can't say that for other countries. The AIDS epidemic in places like Africa and Southeast Asia is literally decimating populations. But America, we've got it under control, a large part because of medication, also because of awareness, also because of the availability of condoms. Again, 80% reduction in fluid transmission of STDs when using a male condom. So the male condom is an important part of your sexual health. Correctly using the male condom is an important part of your sexual health. I'm going to leave the rest up to your homework, right? Or your assignment today. So your assignment might take a little bit longer today, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to Google the most current HIV, AIDS, I need to spell that right, treatments / medications. And I want you to list the one you find, or one of the ones you find. Tell me the name of the drug. And list its benefits. In other words, why is that drug on the market? I've seen commercials for these drugs. They're drugs. They're a drug, or at least the commercial that I've seen pretty much says, "Don't worry about your life. You be you. You engage in the sexual activity or the lifestyle that you are engaging in, and this drug will diminish or lower your chances of contracting / transmitting HIV." I want to do a little bit more research on it. You guys are going to help me do that by sending me the information that you find. So essentially, you're going to Google what's the most current HIV/AIDS treatment, find the drug, read about the drug, list the drug, then tell me the benefits of taking that drug. Tell me what that drug is selling as an HIV cure / treatment. Okay, I hope that's clear. All right, so you have your assignment now. Excuse me, you have your assignment Wednesday. This wraps up our sexual health unit. Next week, we're getting into weight management and fitness, which will be about a 5-6 week unit. We'll probably have a little bit more work. The lectures will probably be a little bit longer because this is kind of the meat and potatoes of the class. Just to recap, make sure you let me know what class you're in. Make sure you give me your name if you're messaging me or emailing me or whatever. And we're halfway through the semester, folks. We're getting close, okay? We're getting close. Next unit's a biggie. Be ready. Pay attention. Have questions. Some of your assignments might be to formulate questions to kind of help facilitate some more understanding of the material. But this is my favorite part of the unit coming up, or favorite part of the semester coming up. I hope it's yours. There's going to be a lot of good information coming in. So with that said, have a good week. Stay COVID free. Wear a condom if you're having sex. And be good to yourself and be good to the people around you. See you next week. Do your work.